So massive GPU price decreases are finally here, and yesterday I bought the cheapest retail high-end GPU that I've ever seen. It's actually this guy right behind me. This is going to be an MSI AMD 6900 XT. You're not going to believe the price that I got it at, and I'm going to give you a little hint. I saved over $600 of what the price was just a few days ago. That shows you how much space was in the sort of the pricing of these really expensive GPUs, and this is going to indicate something major for the GPU market. It's also going to mean this may be priced similarly to other GPUs that are not as good. I'm going to give you guys some advice today, so remember to subscribe, watch the entire video because there's going to be some very good information if you're looking to buy a GPU. Alright, so I'm going to get the box right here. 6900 XT. Why is this such a big deal? Well, the 6900 XT, the reference model from AMD, originally was supposed to cost $999, and I'm going to wait a second. Write down in the comments if you were able to get one at $999. I didn't think so. I don't think anybody did. Maybe one or two people if you're lucky. That was a really difficult one to get. AMD would have occasional drops, but as soon as the 6900 XT hit retail shelves, something like this, a third-party AIB partner made by MSI, prices skyrocketed to a very, very high degree. I remember during the height of the GPU drought last year, some of these 6900 XT GPUs were around $2,500. If you can believe that, that's around 2.5 times the original MSRP. So when this one was released, it's a little bit newer, the MSI version, it was retail, and here's the price, the original price on the label. Now, this isn't MSRP from the manufacturer. This is the retail price, if you want to be clear, I guess, on the distinction. Look at that, over $1,600. That's definitely really, really insane. Who's to say that $1,600 plus is a good or bad value for something like this? I don't think it's that good at all. That's way too expensive, even for a 6900 XT, because after all, this is the GPU that's at the top of the food chain for AMD, and it even competes nicely with the 3090 if you can forgive a couple of faults like ray tracing and things like that, which are not necessarily on the same level. So at least as of yesterday, this GPU was discounted an amazing amount. This actually is now $1,099, plus you get a $50 rebate, making it effectively $1,049. So that's only $50 more than the AMD reference $999. In my opinion, that's completely fair. Everybody expects to pay a little bit more when you get something like this with a fancy cooler. Look at that, the design's going to be different. It's not quite the reference model. Pretty much reference models have always been a little bit cheaper than when you get a third-party AIB model. It may have better fans in some cases. It'll have a little bit nicer design based on your aesthetic, but the new reference models are also definitely an improvement over past generations. The major thing really is that price. $999 was a great deal for 6900 XT, especially when 3090s were going for not $1,500 because that's not really realistic to find it, unless you get the Founders Edition at MSRP from Best Buy, but nearly $1,800, $2,000. I've even seen a lot of 3090s at retail over $2,500. So definitely this has the potential for good value. Now at around $1,049, that is pretty spectacular in my opinion. That's why I went out and got this. Not only is it a great GPU, it's not even like a base model 6900 XT. At only $50 more than reference, that's fair. In my opinion, if you're buying a third-party AIB GPU, if it's anything like $100 to $150 difference from the reference model, then that's completely expected. Now, my issue was when this was $600 more than the reference model than it really should be. That is just a terrible value. And then some people will say, oh, it's a great price, but is it in stock? At the time of this video, they still had 10 in stock. Now, it is going to be Micro Center, and I know some people don't have it near them. You don't have to tell me. I've heard it many times, but that means eventually you're going to see these pop up everywhere, like online, places you can actually get them in case you don't have a Micro Center near you. So when I went yesterday, I did ask them, I saw that the price dropped, how many had they sold, and they said of this, the X model and the Z model, which was, the same price, but they do have slightly different specs, they had sold of the other model around 5 or 6, and I remember seeing, I think it was over 20 in stock of this particular one. So if there's 10 now, they probably sold at least, I would say, between 15 to 20 of these GPUs just between yesterday and today. That shows you what a great deal this GPU is. So now let's talk about what else you can get in the market for a similar price, and you'll see why this is such a great performance deal. First, let's just talk about the negatives for AMD that some people may have. First, I guess it's not NVIDIA. If you're an NVIDIA fanboy, definitely AMD might not be for you. AMD did have driver issues with their past iterations like this 5700, 5700 XT, but they're certainly much better improved now. I don't really think it's that big of an issue. I guess the biggest problem you can point to is that NVIDIA does have some specific technologies like NVENC, sort of all of their NVIDIA branded niceties that AMD definitely, they try to have versions of it. Like if you're going to do DLSS with an NVIDIA GPU, AMD has FSR. They have various things. They even have their own version, of course, of ray tracing. But you should know that especially at this level, ray tracing performance will generally be much better on the NVIDIA side. They just have a much better and mature grasp of it. But regardless, in traditional rasterization, something like this is going to be fantastic. In fact, it even beats the RTX 3090, which is still selling for over $2,000, so we can say twice the price. It still beats it in many games if you're talking about 1440p, even 4K sometimes in traditional rasterization. Of course, if you turn on ray tracing, you'll quickly see that RTX 3090 really beat this. But for traditional gaming performance, this is definitely extremely good. And let's face it, you're not getting a 3090 for $1,050 anywhere, not even used. In fact, you're going to pay considerably more. Now, what GPUs can you get for around this same price range? The 3070 Ti used to be close to this price range, but recently that's had its own price drop, around $700 for an Asus TUF, as we saw on Newegg recently. The RTX 3080 12GB is going to be more expensive than this. Most models are going to be between $1,200 to $1,500, and this one will beat an RTX 3080, even 12GB, any day of the week aside from ray tracing. It's going to do a great job in pretty much every single game that you throw at it. Now, the only other GPU in that price range, believe it or not, it's going to be other AMD GPUs that have not dropped in price yet. And you're even going to see NVIDIA GPUs that have not dropped in price. You have to be careful. You may find a 3070 Ti for like $1,000, but you're going to want this instead. You may find a 6800 XT for the same price as this that has not dropped in price, maybe a different manufacturer. You definitely don't want that. You want to get this. So there are definitely scenarios you have to be careful out there, because this price drop is one of the first big significant price drops that we've actually seen, and other GPUs have not followed yet. It's not like the whole market goes down at once. So if you're looking for a GPU, it's possible you can buy one that's worse than this for more money. So not all of them are going to have that great price drop that we saw. Even NVIDIA or AMD, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, both companies are reducing prices, and we may see prices continue to fall even more. All right, guys, so let me know what you're seeing out there. Do you think at around $1,050, only $50 above MSRP, something like this is finally worth it? Is this a GPU that you would buy? And remember, it is a 6900 XT, a tremendous amount of performance. Even if next generation is going to be here at the end of this year, this is still going to perform extraordinarily well. And you guys know that next generation is going to be hyper expensive, definitely much more than this. So this could actually prove to be a good buy, not only now, but in the future as new GPUs are released that are just going to be priced way more for perhaps more performance, but it's kind of diminishing returns, as not many games will really take advantage of it that you can actually visually see compared to something like this, which is already extremely high end. So let me know what you guys think down below. Remember to smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.